Okay, so it seems like recently there's been a little bit of a situation going on with the VTuber Mint. Now, if you don't know, Mint has been involved in a lot of the VShojo stuff that has happened recently. Obviously, the fact that she was going to be debuting as a new idol group with two other members, and it never actually came to fruition due to VShojo going under. It's been a pretty bad time for a lot of people, including obviously Mint, who has worked very hard towards this new group coming out, for it just to never come out in general. And obviously, I can understand the disappointment and frustration in that. And it seems like obviously recently she's been taking a hit with like health and things, and things haven't been going too good. But she actually took to Twitter to talk about a situation to do with a convention, or well, a non-real convention, where a lot of indie VTubers do face some pretty frustrating issues even further. And this is what she had to say. Essentially, she said, I've appeared at conventions for free before just because I wanted to have the ability to meet more people, which, yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I'd probably do the same. Said, but meet and greets and panels take a lot of time and energy, and it's pretty disappointing when a big convention sends an invite to create programming for them, only to not offer an appearance fee because I'm a VTuber. It's sort of frustrating that other YouTubers get given more respect and seen as more legitimate than me because I'm an anime lady. And for large conventions, please don't send out emails to creators under the guise of a guest invite if that is not the case. Sorry, I really don't like bringing up these sort of things. I think I was just really surprised by getting the email, being excited, thinking it was a guest opportunity, and then being sent a panel submission form. Which, yeah, obviously, that is very disappointing, and it's probably something that happens to a lot of YouTubers, especially indie VTubers out there that are given these forms instead of actually being offered a guest spot. Now, if you don't know, at conventions, usually you have a ton of panels and things where essentially, you can go up and talk with some people about whatever topic, whether it's VTubers, anime, whatever, and obviously it's great. But, some people get invited as guests to these conventions literally by the convention themselves. They're like, hey, you want to come up? We'll pay for everything and whatever. You guys can, chill over here and whatever. And essentially, yeah, they will sort things out for you. But then also you have the other side of things where people can sign up to be a guest as well for those extra kind of spaces. And I think what Mint is kind of getting at here is the fact that she's been getting a lot of emails from conventions and big conventions, obviously she says larger conventions here, essentially saying, hey, you want to come to whatever con this is, and do like a meet and greet or whatever, or do a panel or whatever, and then she's like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, that sounds great. And then obviously they go, okay, well, here's a form to sign up. There's like no point in even advertising that to VTubers and in general, because again, if they wanted to sign up, they would have signed up in the first place. You don't need to email them, be like, hey, do you want to sign up to this and potentially have a chance of getting in? Also, I just wanted to add in quickly a little bit of an extra thing that I kind of failed to notice in the first time of reading this, but essentially, Mint also talks about the fact that, they're charging an appearance fee because she's a VTuber too. That was also something that I kind of missed out in it. I thought that meant that, they were giving them money, but no, it's the other way around. Mint has to pay to go to that convention, which is the main thing that, a lot of people are getting angry about, which I kind of wanted to include in this video just because, again, obviously I did kind of miss that. I didn't really go into detail on that, but obviously, yeah, it's terrible that they're, charging Mint, a fee to actually appear there just because, she's a VTuber, whereas other YouTubers and other people that are turning up there don't actually have to pay or are treated differently. As she says, it's sort of frustrating that other YouTubers are given more respect and seen as more legitimate at me because I'm an anime lady. So yeah, obviously, yeah, it seems like they are much more harsher in terms of making her pay to actually have panels and things, or even just kind of be a guest at the event, which I think is pretty crazy. And obviously no one should really be subject to that, especially if you're being invited by the convention. But obviously we know, she's not entirely being invited. She's being asked to fill out a form, but then obviously, yeah, she then has to pay to actually appear, which is crazy. So again, that is a big reason as to why a lot of people are not happy for the appearance fees. Obviously, people saying, I found it very uncommon for conventions to offer appearance fees for VTuber guests appearances at all, unless you're very well known. I've done all except one of my appearances for free, and I've been a guest and a panelist, and I've organized VTuber concerts at conventions since 2022. I'm advocating for fair treatment and for VTubers to be compensated for time and effort the same as IRL guests are. I've not had much luck so far, given that I've also almost had no sway as a smaller creator, so I'm glad you're able to talk about this issue. hopefully we can see something change for the better. You know, a lot of people saying asking you to come and then charging you for it. That's awful, especially seeing as you're driving their ticket sales. So I'm so sorry, Mint. This is super frustrating. People saying, hey, could you DM me the con that sent the panel submission form? They might have actually want you as a guest as they're doing a big VTuber push, but may have misinterpreted by the panel form that was being sent to everyone regardless. You know, people are saying appearance fee. That just sounds stupid in my opinion. So just because you do VTubing, you need to pay to do a meet and greet at the con. Obviously, a lot of people are very confused and angry about that. So yeah, that is also another factor in this entire kind of statement. But yeah, that's about it. You know, if you're going to, you know, talk to them and email about this, then you better have a guest spot kind of included in there. And obviously, she talks about the fact that, you know, a lot of VTubers tend to kind of be put down by some conventions. Now, obviously, that's not the case at somewhere like, you know, Offkai, because again, it's entirely VTubers. But I can definitely understand that for maybe some more comic-y based conventions, you know, a lot of Comic-Cons and stuff. I could see them treating VTubers slightly differently due to the fact of them having less of an audience and, you know, less of a pool. But still, at the same time, I think they should be treated as fairly as a lot of the other creators that get invited as guests to these conventions. And obviously, it does sound like it sucks, because obviously she's saying that, you know, she's getting excited by it. You know, it's very exciting to be, you know, invited by a panel like this. And yeah, it's just one of these things that does really suck. And I've had it happen before to me as well with sponsors and things. They're like, oh, do you want to come over here and try it out? And they ask me to go to like a very far away place, right? And I'm just like, oh yeah, sure, you're going to pay. And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. It's like, well, why would I come over there? Like, what the hell? And again, obviously, that tends to be a big issue with a lot of creators. They say this is one of the things that we don't realize when talking about how better they are as indies, or that they don't need another corp. Being an indie leaves you open to getting rug pulled. To getting the rug pulled on you like this and many other ways, which yeah is 100% true, but also with someone at like Mint size or anybody at a similar kind of follower count and making that much money, you could probably afford some kind of manager or talent manager who can actually deal and like decipher whether this is fake, whether this is a guest thing, whether it's a thing that you need to sign up for, and kind of relieve that stress of you know, essentially being dropped from a convention. I'm not saying that she did get dropped. It's more so the fact of like, you know, she didn't really get in, but they tried to make it seem like she did, which I think, yeah, is very scummy. And then you kind of miss all of that out with obviously a manager or just someone, you know, dealing with it. They say you don't get nearly as much bargaining power or protection in situations like this, even if you are a big creator, which yeah is true. They say, I still remember Yusan having to call out a con on Twitter for a response because they got ghosted for weeks and were never paid for them for the event that they were booked for. And they said how even indie VTubers who go big corporate to avoid this thing. Get some assistants / managers to handle the annoying part and just let the creator focus on making content, which is 100% true. They said, is that why Dokibird sounds like she's a one-person corporation already? Said, yep, I guess so. Also, it should help with taxation too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but PewDiePie mentioned that he has a company in Japan to help him get a visa and other stuff. So again, yeah, obviously there's tons of people who have smaller crews around them who help them out. So even without that, you get better personal protection when you separate your personal activities and your professional activities. 100% true. You know, people saying, which is utterly disrespectful to Mint, considering she's already proven that she is a massive draw. Offkai Deadass had a massive PR boost because they were able to use her likeness, and that wasn't even really for Offkai. It was to promote Fantastic Realities concert. A lot of people went for her specifically, and this was even a popular topic of conversation a few weeks later at Anime Expo. Ultimately, this harkens back to Any Color again, and how they also underestimated her worth, despite the headways her and Selene had achieved for Niji En. I generally don't get how corpos somehow always feel compelled to screw Mint over. Said one of the people running Offkai is ex-Discord lol, hasn't been able to find a new job since he was laid off a year ago. So to be fair, the job market is a huge mess right now. And obviously, yeah, we don't exactly know which convention this is. I'm assuming it's not Offkai, because again, she says that, you know, they treat VTubers differently. I don't think they would treat VTubers differently at a VTuber convention, but I could see it either being a kind of Comic-Con kind of area, or it could also be an anime kind of area too, I guess, maybe. But again, I'm not sure, but she does say it's a larger convention, so it is one of the big ones that we see, you know, going on. They say, just so I understand correctly, her issue with cons is that she was sent out a guest invite but was not paid in any way, which is, no, isn't I don't think that's exactly what she's saying. She is saying, like, for example, they would come to her with an offer of being a guest invite. They're being like, hey, come to our show, you know, usually a guest invite is, hey, come to our show, we will pay for everything, we will sort things out, we'll do panels. Well, sometimes they won't pay for everything, but they'll at least sort you out with tickets and, you know, panels and stuff like that, and they'll have you probably, you know, kind of plastered on the advertising, be like, hey, this person's coming, this person's going to this convention, right? But then obviously they said, oh, wait, but you have to sign up to do it. So again, that's exactly what they mean. You know, they said it looks like she's complaining about more than one thing. One of them being what you mentioned, getting a guest invite, but having to fix her entire panel herself and not getting paid in any way. Which is, yeah, one of the arguments I think that she is making is the fact that a lot of YouTubers don't get paid at panels too. So the other is being contacted by a con and that making it sound like they wanted her there as an official paid guest, then actually being sent a submission form, meaning that they don't want her there as an invited guest, but as someone who applies to going. So the con would get her audience to show, but she wouldn't get any of the benefits for you being an official guest. So it's exploitative, I'm paying you in the publicity mentality. He said, I'm glad she's speaking out. She never knows her worth, and people always take advantage of her because of that. You have to fight for your self-respect and not let others exploit you. 100% true. So Mint knowing her worth speaks to how much she's grown since leaving Niji. I remember a membership stream last year where she was vulnerable and cried a little bit, saying that she made her feel like she wasn't good enough. Now she knows that she's more than good enough. She's confident to call out these kind of stuff whenever it comes out and knows she deserves to succeed. It's incredible growth seeing her return from heaven, as she calls it, and is now her true self and seeking success on her own terms, which, yeah, is true. And she definitely has kind of, I guess, improved in terms of that kind of aspect. Obviously, she did actually tweet after this saying, stress from the last tweet, might delete, you know, going to ignore the worms. Obviously, yeah, it's probably been a very stressful time dealing with a lot of that stuff, especially on top of the fact that her schedule's kind of a little bit weird at the moment. I think she is, yeah, pretty ill. So again, you know, hopefully she gets better soon. And yeah, hopefully this kind of changes. Hopefully, you know, conventions can kind of make it clear whether they want you to just kind of, you know, sign up or if they want you to be a guest, because I think they do make it very, you know, unknown. You know, they essentially clickbait in an email. You know, that's essentially what they do. You know, they'll be like, hey, you want to come to this event or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they go, actually, you have to sign up. I mean, again, it is kind of clickbaiting, but an email form. I don't know how that works, but I'm glad that she called it out. I'm glad that, you know, people were talking about this, and hopefully it is an issue that can be discussed. Obviously, I don't know if any other VTubers have kind of, no, I don't think they have. I haven't really seen any other VTubers kind of join in on this, but obviously there's a lot of people as well talking about it, saying, I was just joking with some folks earlier that you'd do it for the pure love of the game if you could, but we just don't live in that world, sadly. You're right, you deserve every bit as much respect as any other guest. He says, that's why I try to do at least 3 meet and greets. I want to give as many people as possible a chance. Which, yeah, I mean, I can understand wanting to make money because, again, obviously you're a VTuber, you know, who needs to make money because you're an indie. But at the same time, you know, also provide stuff for the fans at the same time. I think that Mint definitely has the right mindset whenever it comes to this kind of stuff. And yeah, hopefully this does get, you know, resolved. Hopefully people do speak out about it, against this and stuff like that. But hey, we'll have to see. Sorry, and you know, we'll just find out, you know, if anything does change and if anything does happen in terms of these emails. But if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also go to GameStop, use my code Kazza, get 10% off again. They got a ton of really cool stuff over there. I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.